Hey y'all, thanks for stopping in. So the big news of the day is that the Supreme Court rules Donald Trump can stay on the Colorado ballot, giving him massive win after state tried to ban him over January 6th. Colorado had taken him off the ballot because they said that Trump led an insurrection. Trump has never been charged or convicted with committing insurrection, but it makes sense, right? If he's never been charged with insurrection, certainly the Supreme Court can't uphold the state just making the decision to remove Trump from the presidential ballot for the reason of him leading an insurrection, right? So thankfully, it looks like the Supreme Court has made the right decision. Let's read more and find out some details. The Supreme Court ruled unanimously on Monday that Donald Trump can stay on the election ballot in Colorado, handing the former president a landmark legal victory in his quest to return to the White House. It was a fatal blow for the group of states trying to kick Trump off the ballot and came just 24 hours before 15 states vote on Super Tuesday. That's right, Super Tuesday is tomorrow, and I look forward to Trump landsliding Nikki Haley, who shouldn't even be involved in the race anymore. But let's continue. In an immediate reaction, Trump declared on his Truth Social network, quote, "Big win for America." He reportedly called the ruling unifying and inspirational. The 9-0 decision by the conservative majority court in the high-stakes case means the Republican frontrunner's name will appear on the voting slips in the Colorado Republican primary tomorrow. It also effectively ends efforts in other states, including Illinois and Maine, to disqualify him from running in the 2024 general election over claims his conduct on January 6th amounted to insurrection. That's right, Maine also had moved to replace him or remove him from the presidential ballots. In Illinois, just this last week, also did the same thing. Although the judge that ordered that stayed the order pending the Supreme Court's decision. But now it's just a moot point, I believe. Once the Supreme Court rules like this, I think it would be rather pompous for another state to send the same exact case. And I don't even know if they can, if it's a double jeopardy type of thing. The former president, 77, has now cleared one of the major hurdles to his campaign before his likely rematch with Joe Biden on the November general election. The justices reversed a previous ruling by the Colorado Supreme Court, which kicked him off the ballot in the state. Colorado decided that Trump was barred under the so-called Insurrection Clause, Section 3 of the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. The Civil War-era amendment prohibits those who have engaged in insurrection from holding federal office. I think it actually prohibits officers who engaged in insurrection. My interpretation is that it doesn't apply to the president. When you add the fact that Trump has never been proven guilty for committing insurrection, it would seem that certainly Section 3 of the 14th Amendment does not apply to Donald Trump in this case. When the 20-page ruling in the U.S. Supreme Court justices said only Congress can decide if Trump is or is not eligible to run. States may not unilaterally disqualify Donald Trump from the ballot. The judgment read, the judgment of the Colorado Supreme Court is reversed. States may not unilaterally disqualify Donald Trump. That definitely means the other two cases in Illinois and Maine are going to go away. Or at least you'd think. You never know with the tricks and dirty games these folks play, but we'll see. Responsibility for enforcing Section 3 against federal office holders and candidates rests on Congress and not the states. The judgment of the Colorado Supreme Court therefore cannot stand. All 9 members of the court agree with that result. The justices added, because the Constitution makes Congress, rather than the states, responsible for enforcing Section 3 against federal office holders and candidates, we reverse. Nothing in the Constitution requires that we endure such the chaos. Okay. So the ruling went on. The case raises the question whether the states, in addition to Congress, may also enforce Section 3. We conclude that states may disqualify persons holding or attempting to hold state office. But states have no power under the Constitution to enforce Section 3 with respect to federal offices, especially the presidency. The justices also warned against trying to pursue the insurrection clause after the election. They wrote, "The disruption would be all the more acute and could nullify the votes of millions and change the election result if Section 3 enforced were attempted after the nation has voted." In a statement, the Colorado Republican Party told DailyMail.com, "We applaud the Supreme Court for unanimously ruling against the petitioners and the ridiculous attempt to engage in election interference by unconstitutionally removing Donald J. Trump from the ballot every American should enjoy the right to vote for the candidate of their choice. And I certainly agree with that. And I also understand that a lot of people were just going to write Trump's name in. Now, do I think that would actually cause Trump to win? No, I don't. I don't think any writing candidate could actually earn enough ballots to beat a person where there's just a checkbox. But that's just how it is in this case. People are not going to vote for Nikki Haley. People are not going to vote for Joe Biden. So it was either write Donald Trump in or vote for RFK. Seemingly at this point is what I've heard in response, right? But the Supreme Court was united in the idea that Donald Trump will remain on the ballot in Colorado and that the state cannot unilaterally dump him off the ballot. However, the justices were divided about how broadly the decision would apply. A narrow 5-4 majority said that no state could dump a federal candidate off any ballot, with 4 justices asserting that the court should have limited its option. I think that's just basically the Democrats trying to do anything that they can. The Democrat justices trying to, do anything they can to save face for their party, to their party. Trump has dominated the Republican primary so far, with his rival Nikki Haley only winning one contest in Washington, D.C. on Sunday night, with just over 2,000 voters taking part. It's also in Democrat-infested D.C., so the fact that Trump got any votes is kind of surprising, right? I mean, of course you'd get some, but, Nikki Haley is certainly going to get votes, even though registered Democrats can't actually vote in the D.C. primary. Still, as Haley celebrated victory, the Supreme Court issued a surprising update saying opinions would be released on Monday, just 24 hours before Colorado headed to the polls in the GOP primary. So it seemed like the goal for the Supreme Court was to actually get this ruling out before Super Tuesday, and that's a good decision on their part. The decisions of Colorado, Illinois, and Maine to bar Trump were based on the argument that he breached the 14th Amendment by engaging in insurrection or rebellion on January 6th. Trump challenged the ruling from the Colorado Supreme Court, leading to Monday's decision. Voting in the state of Colorado began in February, as 831,000 voters have already cast their ballots, according to the Secretary of State. Trump's name was left on the ballot pending the Supreme Court ruling. The Supreme Court decision effectively ends a legal effort by leftist activists across the country to remove him from running a successful presidential campaign in 2024. The lawsuit in Colorado was filed by the Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, an organization somehow filed a lawsuit in Colorado. And that's somehow on the behalf of the voters in Colorado. I mean, okay, I guess, especially now that they've lost and the Supreme Court has ruled and basically ended all of their efforts. They argued that Trump was guilty of insurrection because of his role in sparking the January 6th riots in Capitol Hill protesting the certification of the 2020 presidential elections. She added then that it was her duty to protect the maximum enfranchisement of Coloradans' voting rights. Her responsibility, she added, was to make sure votes are not wasted on ineligible candidates. The Supreme Court justices expressed skepticism during oral arguments on Friday that Trump could be barred from the running. They indicated then that states did not have the legal standing to enforce Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, citing the danger of one state being able to decide who could be president of the United States. 3 of the justices, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Coney Barrett, were nominated by Trump, thankfully. I had a moment of realization this morning that the Supreme Court might be the last string holding this country together before all the bricks just fall. The Senate and the House are full of people that are just enriching themselves, with the exception of a couple handfuls of individuals that I actually really do like. But thankfully, we have a Republican majority Supreme Court, and 3 of which were appointed by Trump. And thankfully, so far, for the most part, they have all voted what I would call properly since they've been appointed. I know there's been a couple exceptions there, but with this one, I do believe the Supreme Court got it right. We give thanks and praise to God for that. It's an important year, and it's been pretty crazy so far. But I see a lot of people waking up every day to the nonsense as this DEI woke creeps into their life and affects more and more individuals that say, hey, whoa, what is this? This isn't how it's supposed to be. They realized the United States was a much better place to live between 2016 and 2020 than it has been since 2020. cost of living, cost of gas, cost of groceries, shrinkflation, new wars, hundreds of billions of dollars spent in foreign countries while our border is completely wide open and people are coming across at an astronomical rate that we've never seen before. So I encourage you to pray for our leaders, pray for our country, and pray for the people that this year in 2024, we will end up with better people who care about the citizens of our own country as we go into 2025, as 2025 begins. With that, I'll ask you guys to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Get out there and vote in your primaries. Vote in your local elections. That's one of the most important things, and people always talk about the presidential elections. Learn your candidates and be involved. That's where it starts. I know everybody's busy, but you owe it to your neighbors, you owe it to yourself, you owe it to your kids and your grandkids to pay attention. And if you agree with that, once again, I'll just ask you to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you guys in the next one.